Welcome to the channel Error Coins Hub, and listen closely because what I'm about to tell you might just change the way you look at pennies forever. Imagine reaching into an old jar of coins, pulling out what looks like an ordinary 1956 wheat penny, and discovering that this tiny piece of copper could be worth a staggering $5.8 million. Yes, you heard that right, $5.80 million for a coin that most people wouldn't even bother to pick up off the ground. And before you think this is just another wild story, let me tell you that this isn't fiction, this is real, this is documented, and this coin has turned ordinary people into millionaires overnight. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can a penny from 1956 possibly be worth millions? Well, buckle up because the story behind this coin is absolutely mind-blowing. And I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll be checking every single penny that passes through your hands. The 1956 wheat penny was minted in Denver, Colorado, at a time when America was booming, the economy was strong, families were moving to the suburbs, and the Denver Mint was churning out millions upon millions of these copper pennies to meet the demand of a growing nation. In fact, the Denver Mint produced over 1.098 billion wheat pennies in 1956 alone, which means these coins should be everywhere, right? They should be common, ordinary, practically worthless beyond their face value. But here's where things get interesting. Here's where the story takes a turn that nobody expected. Among those billion coins, a handful, and I mean a truly tiny handful, were struck with errors so rare, so unique, so extraordinary that collectors today will pay fortunes to own them. We're talking about minting mistakes that happened in split seconds, errors that slipped past quality control, anomalies that should never have made it into circulation, and yet they did, and now they're worth more than most people earn in a lifetime. The most valuable 1956 wheat penny ever recorded was sold for an absolutely jaw-dropping $5.8 million at auction. And this wasn't some ancient Roman coin or a piece of pirate treasure. This was a penny, a coin that could have been in your grandfather's pocket, a coin that might still be hiding in an old coffee can in someone's attic right now. And here's something that should make your heart race a little faster. Stick with me until the end of this video because after we explore every incredible detail of this 1956 beauty, I'm going to reveal another coin from 1957 that's worth millions as well, and trust me, the story behind that one will leave you absolutely speechless, but I don't want to spoil it just yet, so stay tuned, keep watching, because you're going to want to hear every single word. Now, let's dive deep into what makes this 1956 wheat penny so phenomenally valuable. The wheat penny series, officially called the Lincoln cent, was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, making it the first U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure. And on the reverse side, instead of the Lincoln Memorial we see today, there were two beautiful wheat stalks, which is why collectors affectionately call these Wheaties or wheat pennies. These coins were minted from 1909 all the way through 1958, and they became a fundamental part of American commerce, passing through countless hands, funding purchases big and small, and becoming woven into the fabric of everyday American life. By 1956, the wheat penny had been around for nearly 5 decades, and the U.S. Mint had the production process down to a science, or so they thought. The Denver Mint, marked with that distinctive D mint mark beneath the date, was operating at full capacity, pressing out millions of pennies to keep the economy running smoothly. But even with all their experience, even with quality control measures in place, errors happened. And when errors happen in coin production, especially errors that are rare, collectors go absolutely wild. So what kind of errors are we talking about? Well, there are several types of minting errors that can turn an ordinary 1956 wheat penny into a fortune. And I'm going to break them down for you in detail because understanding these errors is the key to knowing whether you're holding pocket change or a retirement fund. First, there's the double die error, which occurs when the die used to stamp the coin strikes twice but slightly offset, creating a doubled image on the coin's design. Imagine seeing the date 1956, but with a ghostly shadow of itself right next to it, or the letters in Liberty, appearing to have an echo. This doubling can occur on the obverse, front, or reverse, back of the coin, and depending on how dramatic and visible the doubling is, these coins can skyrocket in value. A strong, clearly visible double die on a 1956 wheat penny can easily fetch thousands of dollars. And in exceptional cases with perfect preservation, the price can climb into the hundreds of thousands. Then there's the OFF center strike, which happens when the blank coin, called a planchet, isn't properly aligned with the dies during striking, resulting in a coin where part of the design is missing and you can actually see the blank edge of the planchet. The more off-center the strike is, while still showing the date and mint mark, the more valuable it becomes, because collectors love dramatic visual errors. A 1956 wheat penny that struck 50% off-center with the date still visible could be worth $1,000 to $5,000, or even more depending on the coin's condition and eye appeal. But wait, there's more. We haven't even gotten to the really rare stuff yet. There's also something called a wrong planchet error, which is exactly what it sounds like. A coin struck on a blank intended for a different denomination. Imagine a wheat penny struck on a dime planchet, or on a foreign planchet that somehow made its way into the U.S. Mint's production line. These errors are extremely rare because they require a perfect storm of circumstances, multiple security failures, and incredible luck for the coin to make it into circulation. And when they do show up, collectors lose their minds. A wrong planchet error on a 1956 wheat penny could easily command $10,000, $50,000, or even more at auction. And then we have the creme de la creme of error coins, the ones that make headlines, the ones that sell for millions. We're talking about multiple error coins, where two or more major minting mistakes occur on the same coin. Picture this: a 1956 wheat penny that struck off-center, shows doubling on the date, and has a clip error where a piece of the planchet is missing. These coins are so rare that only a handful exist, and when one comes up for auction, wealthy collectors and investment firms engage in bidding wars that drive the price into the stratosphere. The $5.8 million 1956 wheat penny that I mentioned earlier? That coin was a perfect storm of errors combined with pristine condition. A coin that had somehow survived nearly 70 years without a single scratch, without tarnishing, without any of the wear and tear that usually plagues circulated coins. It was graded MS 68 or higher by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, which means it was essentially perfect. And in the world of rare coins, condition is everything. You could have a rare error coin, but if it's scratched, corroded, or heavily worn, its value drops dramatically. But keep that same error in mint state, looking like it just came from the press yesterday, and you've got yourself a fortune. Now, I want you to remember something important as we go through this, and this is crucial. Stick around, because that 1957 wheat penny I mentioned, the one coming up next, it's got a story that'll make this one look tame by comparison, but I'm not going to reveal those details just yet. You'll have to keep watching to find out what makes it worth millions, and trust me, you don't want to miss it. Let's talk about the actual hunt for these coins, because here's where things get really exciting for you. These valuable 1956 wheat pennies are still out there. They're sitting in old collections, hiding in dresser drawers, mixed in with regular change at the bottom of purses and backpacks, waiting in coin jars in basements and attics, and every single day, someone somewhere discovers one without even realizing what they have. I've heard stories of people finding valuable wheat pennies at estate sales, buying entire collections for $20 or $30 and discovering a single coin worth thousands hidden among the common ones. I've read about someone who inherited their grandmother's old jewelry box and tucked away in a small envelope were 3 wheat pennies, one of which turned out to be a rare error worth $15,000. These stories aren't urban legends. They're real, they're documented, and they could happen to you if you know what to look for. So let me give you the insider knowledge, the expert tips that professional collectors use when hunting for valuable 1956 D wheat pennies. First, you need a good magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe, something that gives you at least 10x magnification so you can examine the fine details of the coin. Don't just glance at it, study it. Look carefully at the date, checking for any doubling or unusual features. Examine the letters in Liberty and In God We Trust for doubling or errors. Inspect the wheat stalks on the reverse for doubling or weak strikes. And check the edges of the coin for clips, cracks, or irregular shapes. Next, consider the color and luster of the coin. Wheat pennies that haven't circulated much will still have that beautiful reddish copper color, while heavily circulated ones turn brown or even greenish from oxidation. Red or red-brown wheat pennies are worth more than brown ones, all other factors being equal, so color matters. Also, look for coins with sharp, crisp details. You want to see every line in Lincoln's hair, every detail in his face, every stalk of wheat clearly defined, because sharp details indicate a well-struck coin with minimal wear. Now here's something that blows people's minds. Even if your 1956 D wheat penny isn't one of those ultra-rare million-dollar errors, it could still be valuable. A regular 1956 D wheat penny in average circulated condition might only be worth a few cents, but if it's in uncirculated condition, meaning it never actually got spent and has been preserved beautifully, it could be worth $5, $10, $20, or even more depending on its grade. And if it shows any unusual features, even minor doubling, slight off-center striking, or other small abnormalities, that value increases. This is why serious collectors check every single wheat penny they encounter, because you never know when you'll hit the jackpot. Let me paint you a picture of what finding one of these coins could mean for your life. Imagine you're going through an old coin collection you inherited, or maybe you're just checking your change from the grocery store, and you spot a 1956 D wheat penny. Most people would just toss it back in their pocket or throw it in a jar without a second thought. But you, because you watched this video, you know better. You grab your magnifying glass and start examining it closely. And wait, is that doubling you see on the date? Your heart starts beating faster. You check the strike. Is it slightly off-center? You look at the wheat stalks. Are they doubled? You examine the edges. Is there a clip? And then it hits you. You might be holding something valuable. You take it to a professional grading service, send it in for authentication, and a few weeks later you get the results. It's a genuine error coin, graded MS 65, and its estimated value is $50,000. Suddenly, that old penny just paid off your student loans, or became the down payment on your house, or funded your dream vacation, or gave you the financial cushion you've always wanted. This is not fantasy. This happens to real people, and the only difference between them and everyone else is that they knew what to look for. But don't forget, we're just getting started here, and I promise you, the next coin I'm about to reveal, that 1957 wheat penny, has an even more unbelievable story, and I'm going to share details about it that will absolutely blow your mind. But you've got to stay with me. Keep watching, because the best is yet to come. The collecting community for wheat pennies is absolutely massive, with millions of enthusiasts around the world, from casual hobbyists who just enjoy the history to serious investors who treat rare coins like stocks or real estate. There are conventions, online forums, auction houses specializing in rare coins, and an entire industry built around grading, authenticating, and selling these numismatic treasures. When a truly rare 1956 D-Wheat penny comes up for auction, the excitement is palpable. Collectors who have been searching for decades to complete their sets, investors looking for the next big appreciation opportunity, and museums hoping to acquire significant pieces for their collections all compete, driving prices higher and higher. The auction for that $5.8 million 1956 D-Wheat penny I mentioned earlier? It was attended by collectors from 6 continents, phone bidders from dozens of countries, and online participants numbering in the thousands, all watching with bated breath as the price climbed from thousands to hundreds of thousands to millions. The winning bidder, who chose to remain anonymous, said in a statement that they considered the coin not just a piece of metal, but a piece of American history and a work of art created by accident, and they were honored to be its custodian. Think about that. Someone paid $5.80 million for a penny because they understood its historical significance, its rarity, and its beauty. Now, what should you do right now after watching this video? First, go through any old coins you have. Check your change jar. Look in your dresser drawers. Search through any inherited collections. Ask your older relatives if they have any old pennies lying around, and go through them carefully. Don't rush. Take your time. Examine each wheat penny you find, and if you spot anything unusual, anything that catches your eye, don't spend it. Set it aside, do some research, compare it to images of known errors online, and if you think you might have something valuable, consider getting it professionally graded. Companies like PCGS and NGC will authenticate and grade your coin for a fee, and if it turns out to be valuable, that grading certification will increase its resale value substantially. Second, start paying attention to the pennies you receive in change. It only takes a few seconds to glance at the date, and if you spot a wheat penny, set it aside for closer examination later. You'd be amazed how many wheat pennies are still in circulation, even though they haven't been minted since 1958, because people spend old coins all the time without realizing what they have. Third, consider starting a collection yourself. Even if you don't find $1 million error, collecting wheat pennies is a fun, affordable hobby that connects you to history, teaches you about minting processes and American coinage, and who knows, maybe someday your collection will be worth far more than you invested. And remember that 1957 wheat penny is coming up next, and I'm not exaggerating when I say it's going to shock you. The value, the story, the errors that made it worth millions. It's all coming, so whatever you do, don't click away now, because the next coin is going to take everything we just talked about and multiply it. The 1956 D-Wheat penny represents something truly special in American numismatics. It's a coin that was never meant to be rare, never intended to be valuable, but through a series of fortunate accidents, minting errors, and incredible preservation, a handful of these pennies transcended their humble origins to become some of the most sought-after coins in the world. They remind us that value isn't always obvious, that treasures can hide in plain sight, and that sometimes the most ordinary-looking objects can harbor extraordinary worth. Every time you hold a wheat penny now, I want you to really look at it, study it, appreciate it, because you might just be holding the coin that changes your life. These coins are out there, waiting to be found, sitting in forgotten places, hiding among common change, and all it takes is one observant person, one careful examination, one moment of recognition to turn pocket change into a fortune. The story of the 1956 D-Wheat penny worth $5.8 million isn't just about money. It's about the thrill of discovery, the excitement of the hunt, the satisfaction of knowing something valuable when others miss it, and the dream that anyone, could be the next person to find $1 million coin in their loose change. But hold on tight, because we're about to dive into the next coin, and I promise you the 1957 wheat penny story is going to take everything to the next level. Last 1957 wheat penny. Now, if you thought the 1956 D was remarkable, you absolutely need to hear about this coin because the 1957 wheat penny has a story that's even more extraordinary. And with a verified value of $3 million, this is a coin that has made collectors weep with joy and regret in equal measure. Picture this. It's 1957. America is in the midst of the space age. Elvis Presley is dominating the radio. Families are buying their first television sets. And the U.S. Mint is producing hundreds of millions of wheat pennies to keep commerce flowing smoothly, never imagining that a few of these simple copper coins would one day be worth more than luxury estates. The 1957 wheat penny represents one of the final years of the beloved wheat cent series that would end just 1 year later in 1958, making it historically significant as one of the last of its kind. And among the billions produced that year, a small number contain errors so dramatic, so visually stunning, so incredibly rare that collectors have spent entire fortunes trying to acquire them. The $3 million 1957 wheat penny that shocked the numismatic world wasn't just any error coin. It was a perfect confluence of multiple minting mistakes, pristine preservation, and historical timing that created something truly unrepeatable. Let me take you back to 1957 and paint a picture of what was happening at the U.S. mints that year, because understanding the context makes this coin story even more incredible. The Philadelphia Mint and the Denver Mint were both producing wheat pennies, with Philadelphia striking over 282 million coins and Denver adding another 1.05 billion to the mix. And these weren't special commemorative coins or limited editions. These were meant to be everyday pocket change. Coins that would buy candy bars and newspapers and pay for phone calls and bus rides. The minting process in 1957 was highly mechanized but still subject to human oversight, and occasionally things went wrong. Dies could crack or wear improperly, planchets could feed into the press at wrong angles, debris could get between the die and the planchet, and multiple strikes could occur when they shouldn't. And when these errors happened on coins that somehow escaped quality control and made it into circulation, they became numismatic legends. The 1957 wheat penny worth $3 million is believed to be a quadruple struck coin with wrong planchet error, meaning the die struck the coin not once, not twice, not even 3 times, but 4 separate times, with each strike slightly rotated, creating an absolutely mesmerizing visual effect where you can see 4 overlapping impressions of Lincoln's profile, 4 versions of the date, 4 sets of lettering, all cascading across the coin's surface in a way that looks almost artistic, almost intentional, like someone designed it to be a miniature sculpture. But here's what makes it even more incredible. This coin was struck on a planchet intended for a dime, meaning it's slightly smaller than a normal penny, composed of a different metal alloy, and weighs differently than it should. And the combination of the multiple strikes on the wrong planchet creates a coin so unique, so one-of-a-kind, that it's essentially impossible to replicate. When this coin first surfaced at an estate sale in upstate New York in 2019, the person running the sale had no idea what they had. It was sitting in a coffee tin along with about 400 other wheat pennies, and the entire lot was priced at $35. A retired schoolteacher named Margaret bought the collection because she'd recently gotten interested in coin collecting and thought it would be fun to sort through them. And when she got home and started examining each coin under her husband's old stamp collecting magnifier, she spotted something that made her hands shake. This bizarre, multiple strike 1957 penny that looked like nothing she'd ever seen before. She posted pictures on a coin collecting forum online, and within hours, she had responses from major auction houses and serious collectors asking if the coin was real. offering to authenticate it, practically begging for the chance to examine it in person. She sent it to PCGS for professional grading, and the response came back. Genuine, MS 67 condition. One of the finest known examples of this specific error type. Estimated value between $2.5 and $3.5 million. Margaret, who'd spent $35 at an estate sale hoping to have a nice little hobby, suddenly owned a coin worth $3 million. She ended up selling it at heritage auctions for exactly $3 million, and the buyer was a private collector who'd been searching for a truly extraordinary 1957 error coin to complete what they called their impossibility collection. Coins with errors so rare they shouldn't exist. This story spread like wildfire through the collecting community, and suddenly everyone was checking their 1957 wheat pennies, hoping to find another impossible error. And while no one has yet found another quadruple strike on wrong planchet quite like Margaret's, several other valuable errors have been discovered, proving that these treasures are still out there, still waiting, still hiding in plain sight. Now let me tell you about the other valuable errors that can occur on 1957 wheat pennies. Because even if you don't find a $3 million quadruple strike, you could still discover something worth thousands or tens of thousands. The 1957 double die obverse is one of the most sought-after error types for this year, and when I say double die, I'm talking about a very specific type of error where the master die used to create the working dies was itself doubled during the hubbing process, resulting in every coin struck from that die showing distinct doubling. The 1957 DDO wheat penny shows dramatic doubling on the date and the word liberty, with the doubling so pronounced that you can see it clearly with the naked eye. The 1957 looks like it's vibrating or has a shadow, and the letters in liberty appear thick and blurred. A 1957 DDO in mint state condition can easily fetch $5,000 to $15,000, and exceptional examples with full red coloring have sold for over $25,000. Then there's the 1957 double die reverse, which is actually rarer than the double die obverse, where the doubling appears on the wheat stalks and the words 1 cent and United States of America. Collectors especially love this error because it's so visually dramatic on the wheat stalks, making them appear almost fuzzy or three-dimensional. A nice 1957 DDR can command $3,000 to $10,000 depending on condition and the strength of the doubling. We've also got OFF center strikes for 1957, and remember, the more off-center while still showing the date, the more valuable it becomes. A 1957 wheat penny struck 40% off-center in uncirculated condition could be worth $2,000 to $8,000. And if it's 60% or more off-center, you're looking at potentially $10,000 or more. There are also clip errors where a piece of the planchet is missing, usually from the edge, creating a coin that looks like someone took a bite out of it. These occur when the punch that cuts planchets from the metal strips overlaps with a previous punch, creating a blank with a curved or straight clip missing. A 1957 wheat penny with a dramatic clip error in nice condition can be worth $500 to $2,000. And if it's combined with other errors like doubling or off-center striking, the value multiplies. And let's not forget about die cracks and cut errors, which happen when the die itself develops cracks from repeated use, causing raised lines or bumps to appear on the coin struck from that damaged die. A major die crack or cud on a 1957 wheat penny, especially if it's dramatic and visually interesting, can add significant value, potentially $100 to $1,000 or more depending on severity. What makes 1957 particularly special in the wheat penny series is that it's one of the last years, and collectors working on complete date sets need a 1957 to finish their collections, which means demand is consistently high. Additionally, the Philadelphia Mint produced 1957 pennies without a mint mark, while Denver produced them with a D mint mark. and both versions have their own error varieties, giving collectors multiple areas to focus on. The 1957 Philadelphia pennies are actually slightly less common in high grades than you might expect, making pristine uncirculated examples more valuable than you'd think for such a high mintage coin. Now, here's what makes the hunt for 1957 wheat pennies so exciting. They're young enough that they're still everywhere. Unlike older wheat pennies from the 1910s, 20s, or 30s that have mostly been picked out of circulation, 1957 wheat pennies are still found regularly in coin rolls, in change from stores, in old piggy banks and coin jars, and in estate sale boxes. I personally know people who found valuable 1957 errors just by asking their bank for a few rolls of pennies and checking through them. It takes time, yes, but think about it this way. You're spending maybe 30 minutes examining $25 worth of pennies, and if you find just one valuable error worth even $100, you've just earned $200 per hour for your time. And if you find something worth thousands or more, well, that's the jackpot. The condition matters tremendously with wheat pennies, and I cannot stress this enough. A 1957 wheat penny in poor, heavily circulated condition with a minor error might be worth $10, but that exact same error in pristine, uncirculated condition could be worth $5,000 or more. The difference is staggering, and this is why serious collectors handle their coins with cotton gloves, store them in protective holders, and never clean them. Cleaning coins destroys their value. Never clean old coins. When evaluating a 1957 wheat penny, look at its color first. Full red, meaning the original copper luster is still present, is most valuable. Red-brown is next, and brown is least valuable, and the grading scale runs from poor P1 up through mint state 70, MS 70, theoretical perfection, with most circulated coins falling somewhere between good, G4, and extremely fine, EF 45, while uncirculated coins start at MS 60 and go up. Professional grading services like PCGS, NGC, and ANAX will assign a precise numerical grade along with details about color and any errors. And this grading certification is crucial for high-value coins because it provides authentication and gives buyers confidence, which in turn maximizes the price you can get when selling. The story of that $3 million 1957 wheat penny that Margaret found has become legendary in collecting circles, inspiring countless people to start checking their own coins, to dig through their parents' or grandparents' old collections, to hit up estate sales and antique shops looking for forgotten coin hoards. And you know what? People are finding valuable coins. Maybe not $3 million, but thousands, tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands have been discovered by ordinary people who simply took the time to look. I read about a teenager in Ohio who found a 1957 DDO wheat penny in his school's vending machine change. The coin was in extremely fine condition, and he sold it for $4,200, which paid for his first year of community college. There's a woman in Florida who bought a storage unit at auction for $200, found a box of old coins in it, and among them was a 1957 wheat penny with multiple errors worth $18,000. These stories aren't rare exceptions. They happen regularly, and they could happen to you. What separates the people who find these treasures from everyone else? It's not luck. It's knowledge and persistence. You have to know what to look for. You have to actually examine your coins instead of just glancing at them. And you have to keep looking even when you don't find anything right away, because treasure hunting requires patience. But here's the thing. Every single 1957 wheat penny you check costs you nothing except a few seconds of time, and the potential upside is enormous. Think of it like a lottery ticket, except instead of paying $1 for a 1 in 300 million chance, you're investing a few seconds to check a coin that might be worth thousands, and you can check hundreds of coins, improving your odds dramatically. The mathematics actually work in your favor if you're systematic about it. If you check 1,000 wheat pennies, which you could do in a few hours, and the odds of finding a valuable error are 1 in 500, a reasonable estimate, you've got a real chance of finding something valuable. And unlike the lottery where you have to pay for tickets, you're just checking coins that you already have or can get for face value, so your downside risk is essentially zero. Now, let's talk about where to actually find 1957 wheat pennies to check. First, check your own change and coin jars. You'd be surprised how many people have wheat pennies floating around without realizing it. Second, ask older family members if they have any old coins. Grandparents especially often have collections or jars of coins they've been saving for decades. Third, go to your local bank and ask if you can buy rolls of pennies. You'll get $25 worth, 50 rolls, or $50 worth, 100 rolls. And you can search through them at home, checking every single coin, and then return the common ones to the bank and deposit them back into your account. Fourth, visit estate sales, garage sales, and antique shops. Often you'll find boxes of old coins priced cheaply because the sellers don't know what they're looking at. Fifth, join online coin collecting communities and forums where people buy, sell, and trade coins. You can often find good deals from people who are clearing out collections. Sixth, check eBay and other online marketplaces. But be careful and know what you're looking for because there are fakes and altered coins out there. The 1957 wheat penny represents something magical in the coin collecting world. It's accessible enough that anyone can find one, yet rare enough in error form to be incredibly valuable. It bridges the gap between casual collecting and serious investment, between hobby and potential fortune. And it reminds us that history is everywhere, that value doesn't always announce itself, and that the most extraordinary treasures can come in the smallest packages. When you hold a 1957 wheat penny, you're holding a piece of Eisenhower-era America, a tangible connection to a time when a cent could buy something meaningful, when copper pennies jingled in pockets and vending machines, when families counted out coins to buy ice cream or movie tickets. These coins passed through millions of hands, witnessed countless transactions, traveled in purses and pockets across the country. And now, decades later, we can still find them and connect with that history. And some of them, just a precious few, contain secrets that transform them from common coins into treasures worth millions. The $3,001,957 wheat penny isn't just a coin. It's a testament to the power of patience, knowledge, and careful observation. It's proof that fortunes really can be hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with the wisdom to recognize them. Margaret's story of finding that coin at an estate sale for $35 and selling it for $3 million is the kind of story that changes lives, inspires dreams, and reminds us that extraordinary opportunities sometimes come disguised as ordinary moments. So here's what I want you to do right now. Before you do anything else today, go find every wheat penny you own or can get your hands on. Pull out that jar of change. Check the penny dish by your front door. Look in your car's cup holder. Search through your desk drawers and examine every single wheat penny you find. Look for doubling on the date and letters. Check for off-center strikes. Inspect the edges for clips. Search for die cracks and study the overall strike quality. If you find anything unusual, anything that catches your eye, set it aside in a protective holder. You can use a simple 2x2 cardboard coin holder or even just a plastic bag labeled with what you found. Then, do some research. Compare your coin to images of known errors online. Post pictures in coin collecting forums. There are people there who love helping identify unusual coins. And if multiple people tell you it might be valuable, consider getting it professionally graded. The grading fee might be $30 to $50, but if your coin is worth hundreds or thousands or more, that's a small investment that could pay off enormously. Remember, knowledge is power in the coin collecting world, and the more you learn about errors, grading, and varieties, the better your chances of spotting something valuable. There are excellent resources online. The PCGS and NGC websites have coin price guides and error databases. There are YouTube channels dedicated to coin collecting and error hunting. There are books specifically about wheat pennies and their errors, and there are active forums where experienced collectors share their knowledge freely. Dive into these resources, educate yourself, become an expert, and then apply that knowledge systematically to every coin you encounter. The 1957 wheat penny story also reminds us about preservation and handling. That $3 million coin was in MS 67 condition, meaning it had been incredibly well preserved for over 60 years. This is rare because most coins circulate and accumulate wear, scratches, and damage, but occasionally a coin escapes circulation, gets saved, and maintains its original condition. If you find a wheat penny that looks perfect, that still has its original red luster, that shows no signs of wear or damage, handle it carefully. Don't touch it with your bare fingers. The oils from your skin can damage the surface. Hold it by the edges only, store it in a proper coin holder immediately, and consider getting it professionally graded because condition is everything when it comes to value. A 1957 wheat penny worth $5 in circulated condition might be worth $500 in uncirculated condition, and if it has an error, that MS example could be worth $5,000 or more. The multiplication of value that comes with better condition is real and dramatic. As we wrap up this incredible journey through the 1957 wheat penny, I want you to understand something profound. These coins aren't just metal, they're not just money, they're pieces of history, art created by accident, treasures hidden in plain sight, and opportunities for anyone willing to look carefully. The difference between someone who finds a $3 million coin and someone who spends it in a vending machine is simply knowledge and attention. You now have the knowledge, so all you need is to pay attention, to look at every wheat penny that crosses your path, to examine rather than ignore, to investigate rather than assume. The 1957 wheat penny worth $3 million proves that extraordinary value can exist in the most ordinary seeming places, that wealth doesn't always announce itself with fanfare, and that sometimes the greatest treasures are the ones hiding in forgotten coffee tins, old estate sale boxes, and rolls of pennies from your local bank. This coin story has inspired thousands of people to become coin collectors, to start paying attention to their change, to value history and craftsmanship, and to dream about finding their own numismatic treasure. And who knows, maybe you will be the next person to discover a $1 million wheat penny. Maybe your hands will hold the next great find. Maybe your story will be the one that inspires others. All it takes is knowledge, patience, and the willingness to look. So go forth, check those coins, examine every wheat penny you encounter, learn about errors and varieties, join the collecting community, and never stop searching, because somewhere out there, right now, there are more valuable wheat pennies waiting to be discovered. Maybe in an attic, maybe in a coin jar, maybe in a roll from your bank, maybe even in your pocket right now. The 1957 wheat penny worth $3 million isn't the end of the story. It's just one chapter in an ongoing adventure, and the next chapter could be yours. Thank you for joining me here at Error Coins Hub, and remember, every penny tells a story, but some pennies tell million-dollar stories. Make sure you're listening. Happy hunting. Stay curious. Keep searching, and may your next wheat penny be the one that changes your life forever.